Welcome back, one and all.
Hello.
It's another Sunday, so it's time for a podcast. Come on in.
Yay.
Don't be shy.
Yeah.
We're here. We're gonna give you some cool info and share a cool person with you today, just like we do.
This is so cool to have. I mean, this is truly like a. I don't know if we've had a guest like this on before.
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, and we have a promoter on today, like a concert promoter. You guys might remember when we did a show with High Plateau Productions ourselves. Mm-hmm. Was it January that we did that?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and so after
it was December, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Time doesn't exist. But yeah, after the show, we asked David if he would want to come be a guest, and he agreed, which was awesome. And he just told us, he's like, I'm so excited because nobody ever asked me the questions. And we're like, that's exactly, I was in my head, I'm like, that's exactly the kind of guests, this is the kind of guests that we want, you know, the guests that don't get asked the questions and just get to share stories from a new perspective, or stories that you guys haven't heard, or something of that level. It's, you know, it's a crime against folk. Whatever that means to you is exactly what we aim to bring you. So it's going to be a good show today.
Yeah. So we have David Fernandez on the show today, he's the operator of High Plateau Productions, and we're very excited to chat with him and get a sense of where his efforts are at during this pandemic that is still raging on.
Yeah.
Before we do, though, a couple people to thank. First of all, thanks to EV Electro Voice for being a sponsor of this podcast. We're very happy they're on board. If you don't know about them, they deal in stage audio equipment, studio audio equipment, broadcast stuff, that like what we're using. We're both using RE20 Blacks, venerable studio and broadcast microphones, and they were kind enough to provide those to us for the podcast, so we appreciate that. If you want to know more, go to electrovoice.com.
I used my Evolve 30M portable speaker this weekend at a bunch of shows. I played like 5 shows this week.
Yeah,
all outdoors. Yeah, all outdoors. Distanced, and I am fully vaccinated now, so I feel much safer doing those such things. But yeah, it was the sound system. It blew me away. I mean, I just can't even believe how incredible the sound is, and also so easy to set up. I was like, I mean, it was just such a dream. I had like some user error issues setting it up, which is totally my fault. But once I got it, and you can mix right from your phone and mute right from your phone, which is awesome, or your tablet, whichever you want to download the app to. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. You know where I played this weekend, Ed?
Where?
First Street Bar.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, in Encinitas. They set up an outdoor patio, and everybody was asking about you. They're like, you're the Witherward girl. Where's Ed? I was like, well, he's, he'll come out eventually. And they're like, oh, well, when he's vaccinated, will he be playing the shows with you? They like really missed you, as I do.
Well, I'm glad they're at least able to do something. Hopefully they'll be able to stay safe over there.
Yeah, it was a great setup. I was really impressed with what they had going. The tables were very distant. They put, turf down and kind of opened up this patio section. And then everyone had their own heater and kind of they spaced out the tables really nicely. And the musician kind of plays behind this glass thing or like panel of some sort. So
okay.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Also, thanks to our patrons, We have a great community growing on Patreon, and we do lots of extra bonus videos of all sorts. Doing extra bonus stories, extra tips and tricks to help you through your career, or just to give you a little inside peek into the industry. Behind the scenes looks at the songs from our duo Witherward. All that kind of stuff is there on Patreon. You can get in for just $5 a month. So if you go to patreon.com/crimesagainstfolk. And in case you're lost, that is the name of this podcast, Crimes Against Folk. So yeah, let's bring in David, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. So this involves some gymnastics here. So give me 1 second. And I will bring David in. All right. Bring him up here. And
Yay!
Hey,
Hi.
there he is.
As I flush like red and everything, like this is like the little, and as you guys are doing the intro and everything, just a bit abnormal for me to. I'm blushing and everything. Like breathe, breathe, breathe. I'm usually the one who's asking the 1.5 million questions.
Will it make you feel better to ask us questions first and then we'll flip it?
No, because then when you start asking me questions, I'm just going to get totally like nervous and break down and everything. So, thank you both for allowing me to do this. And
Of course.
I'm huge fans of both your guys' music and everything. The live stream that we did with you was just totally awesome. And, I'm always looking forward to what your guys' next thing is. And, the input and, Ed, you helping me and everything too has just been very helpful through this entire process of our relationship with each other. So
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly thrilled that our paths crossed with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, after the our show, Ed got on a call with David, and so were you guys talking about kind of doing the similar setup as like this?
Well, just
No.
some OBS stuff, I think.
Yeah, OBS stuff, so, as, fingers crossed that venues and everything open up and everything, everyone is still turning into, live streams, and obviously on High Plateau Productions, the people that we stream on our live stream, they keep 100% of the profits, the proceeds. And so always to step up the game, that we're working with folks is that, multiple camera angles and doing those wonderful things and graphics and working with artists that have background tracks. I'm always trying to learn from OBS, and it's just so much easier to have an actual human being talk to you about it instead of looking at a YouTube video and, pausing and then pausing, unpausing, and clicking and everything. And Ed was extremely helpful to hammer out a few details for me.
Do you find that you yell at the YouTube tutorials? Because I do, and maybe that's a really bad quality, and I shouldn't admit that out loud.
No, I just click on the thumbs down for them. I don't yell at them. I just click
Take
off it
that.
and move on it. Like, what are you doing? I don't understand you.
I'll be like, get to the point.
Or my favorite Arnold voice. I'm like, get to the chopper. Get to the chopper. Like, I'm out of here. Like, I don't get it, buddy.
Yeah, especially for some tougher, like technical things. Some YouTube tutorials can be a bit difficult. So yeah, it does kind of help if you can just have someone you can pick their brain, have their ear for a little bit to kind of help. So I'm glad we were able to work that out. And how has it helped you? How have the productions been in the past few months?
I did. So when I'm live streaming somebody, if I'm actually doing it from my house, a few weeks ago we did an awesome artist out of the LA area named Rosa Pullman, and I actually had 4 cameras set up, and it was the first time I found this little tiny camera clip that goes on a mic stand. And so on one of the camera angles, I had it right where her hand was, where she's strumming and picking. So I would transition to that view, like, not every song, but, I always love to watch that hand stroke, plucking and everything. And it really brought a different sort of element to the live stream of being able to do that camera angle. So, and I think that's the greatest thing of, OBS. So, my plug for OBS, and I don't get paid for OBS. If you're an artist out there, there's a gazillion, ways to stream and everything. But if you could be a pro on OBS, it can step up your game, especially if you're, picking up some really good high definition cameras for your live stream.
Absolutely. I think, for the entire streaming industry, not even just for music, but for, the video game streaming industry or for other broadcasts. I mean, OBS is, because before OBS, you had to get programs like, what was it called? Wirecast, which was an incredible program, but it was very expensive. It was $600-700 to buy it. And of course, it's not, they didn't do the subscription. Once you bought it, you just had it. But, OBS, I think, grew out of a need to have something like Wirecast that was just as powerful, but also open source and extensible. Like anybody can go to GitHub and get the source code for OBS and make their own version. If they have a great idea for it, they can make their own version of it. Another company called Streamlabs does that. They have Streamlabs OBS, which is more designed for gamers than anybody else, but they plug in lots of little neat plugins like chat boxes and alerts things and all that kind of stuff that go more with game streaming. But you can do that, which is great. And that's kind of what this industry needs, is something that anybody can get, and it's free, and you can just, sit down an afternoon and really tweak out what you want to do and do full on broadcasting like what you're doing. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Totally love it.
It's so cool what you can do online these days. But I mean, I know we all miss the live shows, but we're really grateful for people like you, David, and who are in High Plateau Productions for keeping it alive in the way that we know how. And but I want to ask you a little bit about the background. Like, how long has High Plateau Productions been around? I mean, I know you've been around way before the pandemic and doing live concerts. Can you give us a little history?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think first of all, I'm going to try not to be so long-winded here, but being born in 1974, I always tell people that I think people in the 70s really got to see a huge amount of different kind of music throughout that entire span. I mean, we go into the 80s and, we have, English, the Fix, Flock of Seagulls. Then we have boy bands. Then we have like almost mainstream rap, like when I was in junior high, where you have Boogie Down Productions, Eric B. and Rakim. And starting to get into that, and then you have your 90s, and then the 2000s, and then we see Spotify, then we see Apple Music. And so I grew up in, I think, in a time frame that, music played an extremely important, part of my life. And, there was two junctions that kind of started putting the seeds for High Plateau Productions. And the first one was actually when I was 17. And I was actually introduced to Nick Drake, music, wonderful musician out of England, and who unfortunately passed away by, a drug overdose, but it was over sleeping pills and everything. And literally, if you're not a Nick Drake fan, you should be a Nick Drake fan, because you can take Pink Moon or any of his albums from 1969, 1970, and 71, and you can actually take one of those songs and plug it in 1970, 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010, 2020, and it sounds relevant. I mean, Northern Sky is one of those amazing songs that literally, it does not sound like it was made in 1969. I mean, it sounds like somebody actually created this way. So at that time frame, I was introduced to a different kind of music than what some of my friends in San Diego were listening to. And then I just really kind of branched out and listened to all sort of music. It's funny, one of the artists that I'm managing now, Abigail Hanna, her and I were talking about musicals, and, regular stage musicals changed my life and the way that I listened to music and everything, whether it was Andrew Lloyd Webber or, the people who made Les Mis, all those wonderful things. But High Plateau Productions was actually seeded back in about 2010, 2012, maybe 2011. One of my favorite artists out of Texas is a guy named Will Johnson. He's in this great band called Centromatic. And he was actually in Pasadena doing a living room show. And, living room shows were not all that popular, as of at that time frame. And I had been a huge fan of Centromatic for the longest time. And I took a chance and went to it. And literally for like an hour and 10 minutes, you're like sitting there with your mouth open, like, like Will Johnson is literally, 10 feet from you. And just the intimacy and him walking through the songs, somebody asking him, what is that chord progression or what are you playing? Really changed how I wanted to see music and ultimately how I wanted my daughters to see music and anyone around me. It's like, this is the way to see music. It's not, queuing up in a line for 3.5 hours and, me being, 47 now and even, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I still want to go see live shows and everything, but man, I'm too old to stand in line for 3.5 hours to, get in, a seat fairly close to the stage or stand, let alone my fat rump standing for, that amount of time and everything. Or in this day of age too, of going to a live show that you really, really want to see. And, Becky and Susie are talking about what they did last night. And someone's snapping a picture of their drink that's, $40 more expensive what they should have paid for that drink. And, not really giving that attention to the actual artist. And so I think that's where seeing Will Johnson saying, there's different ways to see music. There's different ways to do this. So starting in 2017, I started going into that of, inviting artists. I hosted a few artists at my house to do some living room shows. Oh. And then I think just out of the joy and the love of it is that I'm like, okay, well, this is good. I could do this. So High Plateau Productions was, getting bands and getting artists and doing, actual venue shows, because that's what High Plateau Productions was really built upon was, getting artists and helping them get into actual venues, us running the tickets through Eventbrite and allowing them to keep 100% of their sales at actual venues, smaller venues in the California area. And out of necessity in 2000, that turned into the whole entire, platform of live streaming. That's where High Plateau Productions is right now, is that we are doing live streams, but, and I know this is like super winded and you guys can ask questions when you're done with that, but in that process of the live streams, and I'm sure you guys get this of hosting different, musicians and all likes of the world and everything, is that I have come across some of the most amazing musicians. I mean, you guys are two of them. Is that if I wasn't doing live streaming, I wouldn't have come across you. But I, from 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds to I think the oldest person we streamed was like a 64-year-old fella out of the UK. Nice. And it just empowers you as an individual to hear their stories and the music, Ed and Ash, the music industry has changed so much, since you and I were teenagers. Like, people don't understand waiting in line at Tower Records when Pearl Jam's verse, drops, at 12 o'clock at night. And there's a line around the block to pick up the vinyl, because there's only this certain number of amount. And I remember that doing for several albums. And, you ask people today, do you remember Warehouse? Do you remember Tower Records? Do you remember Sam Goody? Like, and people are like, what is that?
That's a quick way to age yourself.
That's where we physically walked in, and you could walk up to a bin and it would say who Tower Records international artists are, who their artist is picked. And that's how we kind of did that. But digressing, meeting some of these amazing musicians, it actually drove me to branch a little bit High Plateau Productions, and now we are managing 3 exceptional artists that we think that we can help, and we've built this network of great communications. And you guys know this too, is when we do our live streams, we dump you guys into a chat room and everything, and so instantly, if we're streaming 25 to 30 people on a monthly basis, is that these young musicians are being introduced to people like you guys who've been around, for a while, and then brand new people, and then people from Ireland, people from the UK. And I think that is one of the most powerful things that we can do as an independent live stream company or independent artist, is that the more musicians that the more that you can gig, I think the easier your time is going to be, because we all sit here and try to figure out the Spotify and Instagram, computer whiz people of how to get more followers and how to get more listens and everything. But I still think at the end of the day, it is a lot about that, that growth and everything. So yeah, I have a 21-year-old. I shouldn't say how old they are. That's probably wrong. Anyway, they're 21. I have this amazing country singer out of Kent, out of the UK, named Abigail Hannah. And I also have 21-year-old Paris Paloma out of the UK. And then here in LA, I just recently picked up Francesca Crowley, who has put out some amazing music and everything. And it's exciting to feed off their energy and their passion for music and see that, because I think the last 10 years of working with some musicians, they kind of bring you down a little bit, because it's like they're not used to how the music industry has evolved and changed and everything. And then you have this group of youngins that, totally understand what a reel is on Instagram, or, how to make a proper TikTok in 15 seconds. And that's empowering to me, and it drives me to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was long.
It was thorough, though. That's interesting. And Alice says you at 21-year-old kids don't care if you tell their age. So that's probably
I appreciate that. Like I don't want to out them out and everything. Yeah, and I definitely said I was 47. So
yeah. I don't care.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of conversations about. I mean, I'm 37. I have zero problems telling people my age. I'm like, I don't care. I'm over ageism. I'm done with it. So you can group me in whatever you want with two numbers, but it doesn't matter to me. So,
and I continue to tell the artists that we stream, or on any given day, I might get anywhere between 10 to 15 direct messages on Instagram, and not necessarily them wanting to live stream with me, but they would say like, hey, they said you're fair and that you're honest and everything, and I'm like, well, we try to be, but surround yourself, as a young musician, surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with people that, want to help you and not always put a hand in your pocket. Be around people that know a little bit about technology, like you guys, because that's how I think in this day of age, once again, not to digress, but last night I live streamed and went to Brenda Carsley's home in Pasadena, and her boyfriend and I were sitting on the patio before the show, just, fleshing out all these sort of things of like, if you could build a team properly, but surround yourself with good, like-minded people, because there are great people like you guys out there, and, companies like High Plateau Productions and that, ultimately want to see music flourish, because if I can inspire a young artist, they're like, well, what do you get out of that? Why don't you charge me to do this? Well, you're going to make new music, and that's what I get out of it. I get to see another single. I get to hopefully see you on a stage and everything. And that's what drives me, because your music is good and your music needs to be heard by people. So push. Surround yourself by good people. Surround yourself by people that are well-rounded. And let's try to make a dent in this crazy digital world that we live in with music.
It's funny you mention it that way too, like, because Ashley and we've talked about this a lot, where we're kind of over the hyper competitive nature that the music industry loves. That's the front that the industry likes to show to people. And you see it all over shows like The Voice and American Idol and all that stuff. It's kind of kept up this image of the music industry as a hyper competitive place. You haven't made it unless you've run the gauntlet of these shows or whatever. And when the reality is, for the rest of us, for the 98% of artists and musicians that are in the actual industry, a lot of it is community. A lot of it is building community and finding people whose interests align with yours. It's just like building any other community, and finding people who are willing to help you instead of just take something from you. And because that's the image of the industry that people want you to see. The real image is building communities and finding people who are going to help you rather than hurt you. And it's out there more often than you'd think.
Yeah, that word, like when people say like, oh, well, the music industry is just so competitive. I try to correct people. Like, no, it's not. That it's not
Absolutely.
competitive. There's room for more, in fact, and we all need to be out there supporting each other. Like there's not like one slot on the radio and 5 people. If oh, well, we got to compete for that one slot. Like that's not even remotely how it works.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a tough industry.
Yeah.
You have to have a thick skin to be in the industry, and you have to work a little bit harder to get a little bit farther. But I don't find it to be competitive. I find that the musicians that think of it competitively, like they get pushed out of the circle of people who want to help each other, because there's just not room for that.
Yeah. Last night after the show with Brenda, I have a knack of like just collecting data. I'm totally data driven. I want to see where people are, listening and following and whatnot. And Brendan and I were sharing, our Excel spreadsheets, and we're like, ooh, that's a good spreadsheet. That's a good spreadsheet. Because I think data is important. And one thing that I think, Ed, I think you said is like everything has changed so much. And I think one of the worst things as a new artist or an artist who's up and coming is, the whole Spotify for Artists application and everything, where I'm not going to call out their names or anything of the people who I manage or anything, but getting a phone call and saying, well, no one's listening to my song right now, like that is like so dramatic on Spotify's end, and can like the dagger to the heart of someone, or next to your song that you have a less than 1,000 listens on a song. Like that is like, so I get that the music industry isn't, if you do it right, it's not competitive, but there's so many things that are thrown out there that make the artist feel that it's so competitive that if you can try to, put, the horse blinders on and not look at those things and not worry about those things, is that, at the end of the day, there's a gazillion half different places to play. There's a gazillion half different avenues to go about and trying to get your music out there, and, put your best foot forward, and we got this.
Yeah. And like, if there's not a platform that you think works out there for you, make your own. That kind of that's the name of the game nowadays, is make your own platform, or if you're that savvy, do it yourself.
Well, I think the one advantage that I have found compared to probably what music was even 10 years ago or 15 years ago is that Abigail and I, or Paris and I, or Francesca and I, we can swap tracks. I mean, everyone has a MacBook. I mean, everybody has. Where 10 years ago you're booking studio time, and if you don't have a band, you're hiring studio musicians at a cost, and now we can put a little drum loop in, and next thing you know, you have the makings of a demo of a song where you can actually end up getting that to a mixer or producer, and at least someone understands what it is. And I remind the girls all the time of that too, of empower yourself, continue to work on, recording yourself, and, getting used to whether you're using Logic or any other of the gazillion other platforms out there. So there is one good thing of the technology, and that is that, basically anybody these days anybody can put a song on Spotify. Anybody can put a song on Apple Music. If you have a DistroKid or CD Baby account, go right ahead. So it's just
easy.
getting through the muck, and and once again going back to surrounding yourself with good people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You're so right about Spotify, though. I've never thought about that before. Why do they have that? Like, why do they let everyone see how many streams you have? Who cares?
It's just, and I think I might have had this conversation with you, Ash, is that, here in San Diego, I mean, I live in Temecula, so I'm like smack dab in between San Diego and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Is that sadly, there are venues now that, prior to, you'd send them over an EPK or maybe send them over a CD and everything. And like, I've been asked, like, well, how many streams do they have on Spotify? And I'm like, like,
what?
do you want to listen to the music? You know, that should be.
Wow.
Do you know that doesn't matter? Like, full disclosure, I'm in a Spotify group where there's like a bunch. I think there's like 40 artists on or something, and it's like we help each other out. So what this means is every 3 days I have one of my songs in this playlist, and every 3 days every single artist goes and listens to the entire playlist just so we can all get listens above 1,000, you know, on our it's a great idea, but it's sad that we even have to do that. I mean, we like it because I like it because I'm all about supporting them and they're all about supporting me, and that's what the goal is here, you know. But
right, and you guys saw that with our live stream. Is that for each month that we do a live stream, I create a Spotify playlist, and I ask the people to go in, and whether you're on a drive for 50 minutes or if you have an Alexa sitting on your desk and you're doing your homework or something, stream that playlist, stream it and everything, and, you know, recirculate that song and get your friends to make Spotify playlists, you know, and put your songs on it and put them on a rotation. So,
well, you should consider starting a group like this. Seriously,
I'm making a note that I'm going to text you afterwards.
Yeah, I'd be happy to throw Witherword in the mix, and Petty Chavez in the house. Woo! Maybe they'll be on it too.
Going back to music, as you know, when I said Nick Drake, and Simon knows this, and I hope he's not going to blush that I say this. When Simon was in Minibar played an extremely I don't want to say traumatic, but there was a lot of stuff going on in 1999 and 2000 in my personal life with work and personal relationships and whatnot, family relationships and everything. And, you know, that was Minibar's album was one of those driving forces to get me through that. And I've said that to Simon personally and openly. So, Simon and Silly, if you're watching, thank you for tuning in. That's awesome.
And thank you for introducing us to David.
Yeah, seriously. That's how we know you.
I jumped on that. Celia was like, she sent me a text message, and as soon as she sent it, I like went straight over to Spotify, and I was like, yes. And I think as soon as I didn't even think Ashley got through the entire conversation. I'm like, yes, but don't worry about it. Just pick a date.
Nice.
Pick a date, and we'll make it work.
Ah, that's so nice.
Are you a musician at all? Have you played, or do you play?
So if you saw the messiness in this room, so I do have an electronic drum kit.
Nice.
I one of my favorite things to play with right now, and I'm not even sponsored by them, but I have a Rolly Seaboard, which is totally awesome for and the last year, I'm still waiting to pitch it to an artist that I know. I've been practicing on. I bought a Theremin. I think it is one of the most amazing instruments, and I had always remembered the sound of it. You know, because the original Star Trek theme. That is a actual theremin, and I'm sure there might be people who are Googling a theremin right now. It is literally one of the only instruments out there that you play, but you don't touch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's based on, you know, hand movements and modulations and frequencies. And I was at a Lord Huron concert maybe about 3.5, 4 years ago. And the guitar player put down his guitar and walked over to this little contraption that was maybe, I don't know, 3 feet long and had an antenna on it. And he was over there doing this. And I was like, is he meditating? What is he doing? And after the show, I kind of stuck around while they were cleaning things up. And I asked the sound guy, I was like, what is that? And he's like, it's a theremin. I'm like, that's what it looks like? Because I didn't even know what it looked like. So
yeah, it
is one of those instruments that hardly anybody plays, that hardly anybody knows about. But if you can get the sound right, it is eerily haunting. And you can go through the entire scale, you know, the entire major scale or minor scale on it. So
that's
I have
cool.
several guitars. So when Abigail or Paris or Francesca want to throw an idea at me and tell me what the chord progression is, I can go through that myself and everything. But have I ever played in a band? No. I picked up my first guitar when I was 17 when I was introduced to Nick Drake, and said I should learn some chords if I'm going to be a music fan, but no.
Cool. Wow. So I mean, that's
You're
great
just a music
though.
lover, and we we have a lot of those listening to the show right now, and I as independent artists and finding music lovers that just love good music for the music, not for the name and for what's playing on the radio. We thank you. We love you for continuing to spread your gospel is why we're still able to be alive as indie artists. So thank you guys. And I see you have so I was just trying to look for the Spotify playlist that you spoke of so I could share it. And this brought me to your podcast instead. Which I remember you talking to me about, but I kind of forgot about it until I just found it now. So I'm going to share that, but maybe you want to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So, like I said, when we first started this off, I'm always the one who's asking the questions. And I've been actually a little bit, I mean, obviously, so my podcast is called Beyond the Plateau. It's a play on High Plateau Productions. And it's on basically every platform imaginable. It's on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Music. You can find it on Amazon and everything. And I typically will interview artists that we've streamed and whatnot. And I think originally the idea kind of just picked apart in my head is that as I was thinking about going into managing artists and whatnot, it would be a good promotional tool to kind of do some promotion and everything around a podcast and everything, because, you know, especially here in Southern California, of all the people that I know who, you know, on the daily commute, and Ash, you know this, and Ed, you know this, is that, you know, you can go 20 miles and that could take you 4.5 hours. Literally did that twice this past week in LA. But what's really kind of cool is that I've now kind of branched off the podcast into other things. I don't always want to do music. So I did a TikTok influencer, and tomorrow I have a setup meeting with literally, you know, because my girls who I manage are on TikTok, I'm on TikTok, and I will shamelessly say that I was on TikTok prior before I was managing them, of, you know, laughing my butt off. And I will be setting up a podcast with one of my favorite TikTok influencers, and which is really, really kind of cool promotion on his part, on my part too. But I've sent out requests and got some requests back from, you know, some cooks and some chefs and everything. And I really want, because I really think that I've always thought that music and food kind of just go together. And our very first podcast was with Trey Bush, who owns the winery that we have a relationship with up in Seattle and everything. So podcasts are fun. I love it. I love everything about it. And the cool thing about it, I mean, besides Abigail's, that I just did her podcast, like I do all the intro music on, you know, my keyboard and everything. And
nice.
Yeah, I love that. I just love it.
It's fun doing a podcast, right?
Yeah.
It's really fun. I wasn't sure, you know, when we started ours, I wasn't sure. I didn't really know what to expect. And as you know, as long as we've been doing it, and we've, you know, as we typically do, you know, we run into a hurdle and then we overcome it and we run to another one, or then we have a cool idea and we throw it in. And it's just been like, that's been really fun to kind of see what like creatively you can do with a podcast, and that the fact that it's so easy to distribute, I think, is probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, Spreaker really does basically everything for me. So, but I will confess that it is nowhere near of high tech as you guys are. Is that literally I have not done a live podcast yet, so I do a Zoom phone call with someone, and then I take the audio from that Zoom phone call and then dump it into the podcast. I'm a little too freaked out to, you know, to do anything live quite yet. So, but yeah, that was a cool venture. And then High Plateau Productions' next kind of cool venture is that it's hidden right now. Only a few people can find it, but we bought our first internet radio station.
Ooh,
nice. Which we are really, really excited about that. And so currently right now, it's just in its infancy, but basically everyone that we have streamed, and if you have a song on, I bought a song from you guys on Bandcamp as well. You guys are on Bandcamp, right?
Yeah, we're on Bandcamp.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I'll go back and double check because I did everybody in the month of December and January. So basically, what I've done is that on our radio station, it's just a constant loop of the songs of the people that we streamed. And the cool thing about the radio station, obviously, is that you can program it and everything. And so in the future and everything, as I promote, like if you guys are having a new album come out, I would promote on our radio station that we are going to broadcast your live stream from December from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on June 20th of 2021 to get people, it's just one more promotional tool that I can put into my arsenal to help out an artist, as they have a release and whatnot. And, I still think I haven't looked at the payout or anything, but I think people get like 0.00004 cents, as I stream them. So it's going to take me a few years to give any of you, a check for $1. But once again, it's just one of those other things is that, if I could put something in my arsenal to help you guys out or to help out, another indie artist, I think that's cool. Because like the theme, I think, for this podcast that you guys are doing is like surround yourself with good people, people that want to help you, and people that you can bounce ideas off, and people that aren't going to judge you, for having a silly idea that you might think is a silly idea. Because once again, the music industry has changed. It's changed 5 times in the last 15 minutes that we've done this podcast. And if you can trust Ash, you can trust Ed, you can trust Dave to ask a question, and I think that's a great lead in for you guys of, plugging your Patreon account of, the access that you give to your Patreon folks and the questions that they can ask you and the help that you can provide them is that, not only are they helping you guys further your career on a monthly income stream and everything, but they're getting great content from you guys, but they're getting that personal experience touch that if you're a new artist, and I am plugging your Patreon right now, is that, if you're a newer artist or need some help with anything, is that, Ed and Ash, have helped me out tremendously with technical things and just, building good friendships. And the music industry needs that.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you so much, David. And that said, speaking of, because now that you mentioned you're managing a few new artists, and we'd be happy to have them on the show anytime. So feel free to send them our way.
Abigail is. We have Abigail's new single, Memphis to Malibu. I'll tell a funny story really quick. She's watching, and I'm sure she'll laugh at this. So, Abigail lives in the UK, and Memphis to Malibu is this great anthem song of, basically telling, the boy or the girl in your life to, piss off. I'm moving from Memphis and I'm driving across country to California. And there's this lyric in the song that's just absolutely amazing where she gets to the California coast and she dips her toe in the clear blue sea. And so we wanted to make these little tiny 10-second, 15, 20-second promo spots for our Instagram account of how we can do that. And, obviously the UK, it's February and March. It's gray. It's cold. Paris Paloma did a video shoot for her song Ocean Baby. And I think she got hypothermia of, just being, knee deep in her water.
Aww.
So I didn't want to ask Abigail to go, do anything. So I talked with my family and said, hey, look, I'm going to go down to Oceanside in San Diego. And I had my daughter help as well, too. How creepy would it be to ask a random girl, like, I'm just going to video your feet. And if you can run for 15 seconds and go dip your toe in the ocean, would you do that for me? And both my girls looked at me and were like, you're going to get a call from jail. And then I got Abigail on the phone and I'm like, Abigail, on a scale of 1 to 10, how creepy is this? And Abigail's like 55. I don't expect you're going to be managing me, anytime after today if you're going to go down and do that, So, lo and behold, it was done and everything worked out and everything. But, those are, once again, the technology sort of thing is, kind of cool that, we're able to do lyric videos so easily and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, managing artists is a very fulfilling sort of thing. When I got back into doing the managing portion, and I told all 3 of the girls is that, you know, I'm here for you and everything, but, you know, we're going to not babysit and we're not going to, you know, deal with, you know, the crap. Is that when there's an issue in front of us, we tackle it and we move on. And it's a rewarding experience. Abigail and Paris, the two songs that they've put out since I've managed them, I think Abigail, she had 3 singles out, two Christmas singles and her regular single. I think the streaming on one of them, the highest was 620, and we just surpassed 11,000 streams for I Dare You on Spotify. And Paris, the same thing. Paris is, I think, Narcissist, one of her singles she had out, had about 1,600 streams, and hers just recently went above 10,000. Abigail just got her song played on the BBC.
Nice.
You know, so it just really, to see them light up and everything is that, you know, and as you guys work with other artists, and it's inspiring. It's inspiring to see that. So
now, David, can you share their full names with me so I can put it in the chat here so people can check them out?
So Abigail Hannah.
Hannah or A? Or
I have spelt this wrong, and she's laughing right now, probably. Hannah.
Okay.
And then Paris Paloma. So just like the city of Paris. And Paloma is Paloma.
Okay.
And then Francesca Crowley. And Francesca's Francesca. And Crowley is like a crow, Crowley.
Okay.
They are really, really amazing, young, gifted musicians. And like I said, Abigail's more country. Paris is this enigma of, you know, like alt indie, just emo, and on top of that, Paris is an amazing visual artist as well. And Francesca's this grounded, wonderful human being out of the LA area. And we actually did her first demo in almost 2.5 years just the other night. So yeah,
nice.
just good people. Good people.
Well, and we actually have a lot of people watching from the UK right now, funny enough. So
go follow them.
Yeah.
Paris Paloma. I think Paris is Paris Paloma Music. And Abigail's is Abigail Hannah Songs on Instagram. They're both doing some amazing things and everything. And we're hoping, you know, that I can get back to the UK. It looks like I may be able to get the vaccination shot, hopefully in California here in a few weeks.
Nice.
So excited that my father got his first dose.
Oh, great.
And getting his second dose in another 2 weeks and everything. So, yeah, so venues are, I think Gavin Newsom here in California announced on April 1st, you know, some venues are going to be opening up at 10% capacity and whatnot. So I don't know if I'm 100% ready to get into a room with, you know, sweaty people and everything quite yet. But it is exciting because the music industry has taken such a hit without any of the financial support, in my opinion, from, you know, local government agencies or state agencies or federal agencies. That, you know, it's a crying shame, because my biggest fear is like a threefold sort of thing. Is that one, I think a lot of our smaller little venues close down. I know just 10 or 15 right off the top of my head in Southern California that were the perfect spots for an indie artist who can come in and, you know, not get paid and maybe get a cup of coffee or a plate of spaghetti or whatnot, but be able to, you know, get their talent out there and showcase themselves and get used to, you know, playing in front of a crowd. You know, the other fears is that, you know, it's going to be like a dog eat world, in my opinion, is that, you know, some of these name bands, you know, can't get into stadiums or anything. So they're going to flood, you know, some of these smaller venues and push a lot of things out for a lot of people for almost a whole year and everything. So once again, you know, talking about Excel spreadsheets, you know, with the girls who I, you know, manage and everything, is just trying to keep track of those things of, you know, who's opening, when they're opening, you know, what state, what level they're at on their COVID vaccinations, you know. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited, and also like, you know, tippy-toey of like, what are we going to do?
Do you have any ideas or plans or like goals of when you might start live High Plateau production shows?
So I had a recent conversation with the Zypher Theater, which is in LA, which I have a great relationship with. It's a smaller venue, holds about 110 people. And then obviously, I've had some great conversations with Trey Bush up in Seattle of when he thinks they're going to be ready. And once again, it's kind of like a, is it worth it to have 15 or 20 people in a space? I don't know. I don't know. The one thing I am urging, anybody that we've, live streamer who has, come in contact with me is that I will do a private live stream with them so they can start getting used again of playing, an 8-song or 9-song set, there's nobody in the room and everything, but at least they're going through those and they know that I'm watching and giving some feedback and everything. I am probably guessing maybe June, maybe July. Once again, I'm really leery of just having only 10 or 15 people. I don't know if that's worth, everyone's time and everything. And, there might be people disagreeing with me right now, but I think that's just my take and everything. I have had several smaller UK venues contact me that if everything goes forward on their end, that they think around May 1st, they will start be letting like anywhere between 15 to 20% in. So I'm in dialogue with that for Abigail in Paris.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I had a concert promoter in the Central Coast area share an interesting idea with me that I'll pass on to you. In fact, I may have already told you about it, but we haven't done it. But I just thought it was a really great idea, and he's like, "Yeah, please share my idea with everybody," because what he was thinking about doing is starting like having 10, 15 people live, and you sell that as premium tickets. So like normally, let's say you'd pay $20 to see an artist, instead they're going to pay 50 to 100, which may sound like a lot, but considering the amount of live music people used to go to and now go to, it's actually not, because you're still probably paying the same fraction of money if it's just way less shows, and so
Right.
you've charged a premium for just a few people to see that show in person, and you stream it, and then you do just the $5 live stream thing. So that way the people who still want to enjoy the concert and can't really afford the live price but will still want to watch from home can, and then you also get that boost for the artist for the select group of people who can't afford it or would just want to really support the one artist as much as they can. Just kind of an interesting thought.
I am still really surprised that some of like one of my favorite places to see a show in San Diego is the Casbah.
Yeah.
But I know like Belly Up Tavern, they've went ahead and fitted, cameras and everything for live streaming and everything. And I've always, but once again, the funds haven't been there for some of these venues to invest in this. And I think that's where the saddest thing is that I know NIVA, it's NIVAA that I belong to, High Plateau Productions. It's an international national group for small business, small venue owners. And I know in the latest round of the PPP for the US, they did set some money aside for small venues. But once again, the process and the paperwork and, I looked at it and I'm like, I don't know if this is worth my time, and, the waiting game and everything and whatnot is that, so that's an awesome, in the Central Valley, if that comes. And, if they don't have a streaming platform or anything, please throw my name and I won't charge them or anything if they need, a streaming platform to allow people to actually watch those kind of shows, because I think we need slowly of work with businesses and venues like that and make it as easy as possible that they don't have to go spend thousands of dollars to make something work, that money can then translate over and they can give it right back to the artist, because you guys are, I don't want to say you're starving, but in a literal term, musicians are starving out there. This has been for the hospitality industry, your Disneyland, Magic Mountain, hotels, travel agencies, rental cars, companies, and musicians. Y'all been hit hard, like really, really hard. And
I mean,
if
you're
I can
lucky if you make a fraction of what you were making before.
Which
You're lucky.
already wasn't very much.
Right. You're lucky if you're making a fraction of that now.
yeah,
Yeah. I feel like we've all kind of, musicians across the board though, all kind of have the same attitude about it. Like before COVID, I feel like it was just a constant struggle to make as much money as humanly possible, and we just all kind of let that go and went, okay, well, there's nothing we can do about it. So I know a lot of musicians have gone out and gotten side gigs. Ed and I started a podcast, and I started my own Patreon page, and we have this Patreon. Like you just kind of like piece it in from where you can, but it feels to me like every musician's like, it is what it is, and I'm just gonna
Right.
press on. Whereas before, I don't know why I feel that way, and I don't know why it changed in that way, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you agree with me on this, Ed?
To-
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like totally.
Like, what are we gonna do? There's
Right. One of a good conversational piece to have with any sort of musician right now, and I split my life up in quarters, like quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four, what High Plateau Productions is doing, and then what the artists I'm representing are doing. And one of the things that I'm going to be working on in quarter two, which I think could be an easier outlet now for musicians, is getting musicians' music on TV shows and movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think out of anything that's happened with COVID and the movie industry is that I have seen some signs, and I'm not the all-know, genie and everything, but with the Hulus and Netflix and HBO Max and Cinemax and, Showtime, where they're putting just as good of movies out there and not having the overflated budgets that they have to pay out to the movie stars that are in the movies, is that there seems to be a little bit more easier way to get one of your songs on an actual TV show or actual movie, that's independently run on Netflix or Hulu or whatnot, because their budgets are not overflated, paying, astronomical amounts to people, is that, their music portion has a little bit bigger budget and everything. And Rosa Pullman and I, have had this amazing conversation over and over, because she's had several. I think Rosa only has 13 or 14 songs out, and I think she's gotten 3 or 4 of her songs, placed actually.
Nice.
On TV shows and everything. And she has actually put a lot of her effort into that sort of portion and everything. So
yeah.
I think in quarter two, that's, I'd love to, partner with anybody who wants to, do a workshop or anything and, flesh out those kind of ideas of how do we help, indie artists, get their music out there without, because, you used to have to go pound on Paramount or Universal and, know someone of know someone of know someone, of a roommate of roommate of roommate, and now it seems to be a little bit easier to get to some of these smaller movie studios that are putting great stuff in great series, and having these amazing curated, soundtracks. I mean, you can listen to it all. I mean, even listening to, my oldest daughter is a huge Riverdale fan, and just watching the show with her, is that they're all indie artists now. It's literally all indie artists, and that's exciting. And I think kind of a way for some of us to try to, create different income streams, or actually, just get some good publicity of getting a song on one of those shows. So
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Ari Herstand?
yeah.
Yeah, so he's just for our listeners who don't know Ari Herstand, he's a very successful independent artist, and he wrote a book actually that seems to be very helpful to a lot of indie musicians. But he talks about that a lot, getting music on TV shows, and one of the things that he suggests is going to look at the music directors directly. So looking up you might already know this, David, but I'll just share to anyone else who might want this tip. You look up the music directors for the shows, and they're the ones that pick the music to get it plugged. So if you can reach the music directors directly, via Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and you really kind of like massage that contact a little bit, and say, hey, I feel like this song might be good for your show. That from what I hear, and it's probably getting oversaturated now that Ari's shared this with the world, but that seems to be one of the successful ways to do it. So yeah,
put your TV on slow-mo at the end of the credits.
Yeah.
there he or she is in there.
Yeah.
And the musical director is always in there, and
Yeah.
it is a good way to and once again, if you can send out 10 emails and 1 out of 10 people actually just responds to you, you're doing well.
Yeah.
You're doing well because as music comes across my desktop and in my inbox and everything, I can close my eyes and envision like, yeah, that song could totally be there. It's just putting the effort in, and and I think this, because we're not geeking or anything, it's the ideas that I plant in the musicians' heads that I have, contact with, is that you're not doing anything. You're writing new music, but you should be looking at this and creating, different sort of, potential income streams for yourself. And yeah, cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and I'd love to bounce ideas back and forth with you anytime, David, because you have a really interesting take on the music industry, and it's really refreshing, and I feel like it's really like Ed mentioned earlier, it really, really lines up with a lot of the ways that we feel about the music industry. So,
Yeah, it's I'm not jaded or anything, but
Yeah,
I
same.
think there's a lot of great things that can come out of the digital age that we live in and everything. And I'll go back to what we've said at the very beginning: surround yourself with good people, surround yourself with people that want to help, and that you can ultimately ask questions to. So yeah.
Yeah.
And just to answer a quick question, my friend Virginia Cannon's watching, and she says, how do you get to the music supervisor? You can find the name, but as someone that has tried, it's not easy to get to them. And she is right. I mean, do you have experience in that, or do you have tips?
So typically, I'll go into and I'm gonna make these up. So I'll find out if it's a movie. So basically, there's the huge wide distributor, so that might be Universal. And then there's the small movie production, and then there's another movie production. So you're just trying to find all of those production companies that have anything to do. I don't look at Universal. I look at the smaller ones who are producing the actual movie show, and all that information is basically on their website. It is not a very difficult thing to find. Or like I said, if you can't find it on their website, their name is listed in the credits of the shows. That typically I will Google, David Fernandez and the movie, let's say it's called Coke Zero. So I'll put David Fernandez, Coke Zero, musical director. And we have the internet and we have Google, and you will end up finding something, and then double check and triple check, what those things are. And learn how to craft a good email. That is key too. You can't just start something off with like, I want my music on your show. It's got to be,
Right.
You got to know something about the show. You got to,
Yeah.
Be able to have a hook or anything, to be able to draw that reader into it, because like you said, it is a saturated market, and they are receiving a lot of sort of things. Have a great EPK, folks. Have a good EPK. Have it updated.
That's electronic press kit, if anybody doesn't know.
Thank you, Ash.
Okay.
Have your promo pictures updated every 6 months, maybe every 10 months, or at least once a year. So what they're getting or what they're seeing is, something that you kind of look like. It's funny. Mike from The Lonely Together, that I'm really good friends with, is that, I'm on him all the time, is that his press pictures that he use are, from like 10 years ago. Like, bro, you don't even look like that. But the information is out there. And if anybody wants to DM me over at High Plateau Productions, more than willing to help you. If there's a specific show, more than willing to help you to, get those names out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So is Instagram the best way to DM you and at High Plateau?
Or you could do David at highplateauproductions.com. That's the email address. So it's just David at highplateauproductions.com. I typically will read all of my DMs that come through on Instagram, and then I'll translate that over typically to giving out my personal cell number that we can text each other.
Oh, nice. Well, I know Virginia Cannon, who's asking the question, she manages a great group called Nicole and Scotty. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, if she messages you, you should definitely take a listen to having them on the show.
also tell her too, for, depending on what the age group is, one of the other ways that I found is great promotion. And, I'm constantly updating our college radio spreadsheet. So I have a spreadsheet of every college radio station in America.
Oh, nice.
And so blind CC emails go out quite often, where everyone is, put into it of like, hey, this is an artist that I think could get played really well in your college radio station. And once again, if you're sending out a list that has 10 names on it, if one of them responds to you, you're doing really, really, really well and everything, so that's also an avenue I don't think indie artists use enough, is that every college radio station, usually every college has a great radio station that's curated by the college students.
Yeah.
So if you're an artist, and it doesn't matter, I think even if you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s, is that, they have different formats, just like any other radio station and whatnot, but they're playing their music 24/7, and it's just one of those avenues I don't think people hit on enough.
True.
I also have one additional tip about how to get to the music supervisor. I haven't tried this directly related to the music supervisor, but I've done it with other things. Like this is how I think I got our Subaru we got endorsed by Subaru one summer to tour through Europe, and I guessed the email address. I got it right. And it's just simple, because usually when you look at a company name, if it were Ashley Norton who worked for Subaru, if I go a.norton@subaru.com or ashley.norton@subaru.com or a Norton, and then you try all of them and you blind CC them and send them out, and then I'll probably get one of those.
No. I mean, we're really tricky over High Plateau. It's just David at High Plateau Productions.
Exactly.
It works. It does work, folks. Trust me.
Yeah, guess it, and you never know. You never know what can happen. So
that's funny.
So if you know the music supervisor works at Universal, then try their some kind of a combination of their name at Universal and see what happens.
That's awesome. We really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today, David. This has been a fantastic conversation. And like Ash said, it's great that, you have interests that kind of align, I think, with kind of an indie spirit of doing things in the music business, not being cutthroat, just being very cooperative and community focused. And I think that's ultimately what's going to carry us through really tough times like this. Mm-hmm. So we are really, really grateful that the industry has someone like you doing this sort of thing for us. So we really appreciate that.
That really means a lot to me. I don't always have all the right answers and everything, but any musician that comes across is that, I treat them like a human being and interested in what they want to do. And, if you can make an impact to, these individuals that don't know you, because people are skeptical and everything, but provide them good feedback and provide them a phone number or an email address that they can get a hold of you. And, that could drive someone to, write their next lyric or make the next chord progression and everything, knowing that there are people out there that ultimately want to help and everything. So, and hats off to you guys for what you guys are doing. Absolutely. Once again, I come across great musicians, and, the most important thing is I've made some really tremendous friendships out of these sort of things where I can have open dialogue and side conversations and everything of, bouncing ideas and everything. And for your listeners and for your, viewers who are going to watch this, later and everything is, support podcasts like this, support Patreon accounts like this, because these things are important and they're worthwhile. And it's not just, you making, coffee frothing things and, this is how you make, it's actually in depth and everything, and, getting great interviews and getting different takes. So no, hats off to you guys. So I really appreciate the time. This is really different for me to talk about what we're doing. So, yeah.
We're happy that you did. We're happy that you
Awesome.
showed up, and
Yeah.
it's been
Awesome.
really great for us and for our audience. I think.
I learned a lot from this interview, and there's a lot of comments that are saying that people feel the same. So thank you for sharing with us, and let's talk about getting some of the artists you manage on the show. We'd love to help.
Awesome. Would love it. Absolutely would love it. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you, David.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So that's David Fernandez of High Plateau Productions, and what a great guy, huh?
Oh my God, he's so awesome. If Petty Chavez is still listening, thank you again for introducing us to David and to having and so we could do that cool show. If you're an indie artist and you're listening, you should definitely contact David over at High Plateau Productions to do an online show, because it was really like one of the better ones we did.
Yeah, it was really great, and I think again just the mentality that you're doing this for the artist. You make a connection with somebody who's really willing to help, like David, and he gives the artist all of the money from the show. Like that's. That it gives it a feeling of kind of the house concert industry. Like that's the mentality of a lot of people behind those venues as well. So, yeah. Fantastic.
Yay! look who's up, by the way.
Oh, is Garfunkel awake?
Garfunkel's awake. He's been on my lap this whole time.
Aw. All right, so we'll move on with one of our videos next, and Ash reminded me about this one, I think in one of our bonus stories, that I don't think we've played our Tiny Desk contest entry with Haunted by Me. I'm pretty sure we haven't done that yet, and so I thought I would just share that with everybody this time, because it's a real. I really like how it looks.
Yeah.
It's just it was one of the first things we did with Howard Ignatius in Central Coast, California, and it just turned out so great. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you guys right now.
This is Witherword, and we're taking Tiny Desk to a whole new level.
Thanks again to Lagunitas Brewing and NPR for listening to our Tiny Desk contest submission. This is an original song called Haunted by Me. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You can knock on a door and expect it to open when you know nobody's home. You can't ring a bell that's already broken, so you go inside alone. This house is haunted by me. I roam the halls when I can't sleep. The shadows are sideways, the mirrors are highways to the soul of a mystery. You won't believe this house is haunted by me. can't burn it down. It's already ashes. Let it be. Let it bleed. You can't warm the snow with the hand so cold. Just let it be. Let it freeze. This house is haunted by me. I roam the halls when I can't sleep. The shadows are sideways, the mirrors are highways to the soul of a mystery. You won't believe this house is haunted by me. Lost in the dark, a man abandoned heart. What I fear most is I become the ghost. This house is haunted by me. I roam the halls when I can't sleep. The shadows are sideways, the mirrors are highways to the soul of a mystery. You won't believe this house is haunted by me. Do a little bit of the haunted by me. Let's hold a little bit of that note out.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The shadows are sideways, the mirrors are highways.
Good?
Yeah?
Okay, good. Perfect.
You won't believe.
Yeah, I think we're good.
You're fine. You're about 90% or something.
Okay, good.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
Great.
Okay.
Oh man, I completely forgot about that about that time lapse at the end. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I know. I love the way that video turned out, though.
Yeah.
I still am.
I do too.
I still cannot believe that we didn't even get like an honorable mention from Tiny Desk. Like, I mean, we even did for the Cold Dead Body submission for Tiny Desk because we had dogs in it. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
well, we made it onto that, but like we like hand cut all those tiny desks and put it on a mobile and like nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
No,
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I don't. Yeah, we don't understand Tiny Desk and their submission and exception process at all. So why should I try
Yeah.
to start now?
And yeah, we were remarking about this as well, but just how differently we play that song now than
Yeah.
we did then. So that was almost 5 years ago that we did that video, and we played "Haunted by Me" very differently back then. Yeah, as Alice mentioned, with a coda that we do not play any longer.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yep, I did too, and it's a little faster, I think.
People hated the coda because you're live with it. They would, you hit that big note, and then people start cheering, and then you're still playing, and they're like, yeah, and then applause goes. So we're like, okay, well, in the new
Mechanically,
version,
it didn't really work.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and it's a little faster, I think, a touch faster than we play it now, and yeah, I don't know. We have a different. It's a totally different feel, I think, or at least a very different feel than we did back then. So,
well, you'll hear I sing it kind of like the shadows are sideways, the mirrors, like everything's short, and now we do like the shadows are sideways, the mirrors are highways. We like hold
That's
it out
true.
longer now.
Yeah, but we flipped it with the verses. Like the verses, we used to hold out a lot more. Like you can. We used to do that longer. We had changed it even for that. We changed that even for that. But if you listen to the very first video we did with the demo, I mean, good grief, it's so different.
Maybe we'll do that one next week.
Yeah.
Just so you guys can see how different it is. Yeah, we do have. I think we mentioned this. Like we have two. Music videos out for Haunted by Me, and neither of them are official music videos.
Yeah.
Like this one was a live capture, and then the other one was off of a demo. A friend of ours needed a project for a class he was taking. He needed to come up with make a music video, so we were his subjects, and we didn't even have a official recording of it. We just had a very little demo, but we did it, and I like that video too. You can find it on our YouTube page, but yeah, if we remember, maybe we'll make it the next week's video. Why not?
Yeah, but that was our Tiny Desk submission, and yeah, I really liked that. Again, that was one of the first things we did with Howard Ignatius, and I really liked that video a lot too.
Yeah.
So
what's sad is I haven't played that song live in so long. I forgot about it. We used to play it every show. So weird.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've even done it in the pre-show. But yeah, that's our little video presentation. And it's my turn on show and tell.
This one tripped me up.
This is a crazy moment.
Yeah, well,
in our
you
history.
sent me that photo today, and I was like, okay, who is that? When was that? Where was that? And then I had to look at the photo closely for clues, and then I figured it out. But I almost had to ask you.
That's the fun part about this. Like if we send each other a photo, and it's like, but it's a really kind of obscure one.
Yeah.
Then it really jogs our memory. So this photo was taken in 2015, I believe, or 2016. I have to look at the date again, but 2016. Yeah, this was March of 2016, and we are at the Eureka Burger Bar in Dallas, Texas.
Yep.
And this was on one of our trips. I think this was the second trip we made to Texas for South by Southwest.
Yeah.
And this time, fortunately, we were able to book a few other gigs in neighboring cities.
Like paid gigs,
Yeah.
because South by Southwest don't pay.
No. Nope.
And we were like, how do we even get there then? But yeah, we got in with this Eureka burger chain, and they had been doing live shows. I think we did a couple in San Diego, right?
Yep. San Diego was mainly where we were doing them, I think. And,
Yeah. And then and when we went on this South by Southwest tour, I was like, well, let me contact the other Eurekas. So I got in touch with the other Eureka Burgers, and yeah, they were able to book us in Austin, which was great because that's where South by Southwest was happening.
that was right on 6th Street, too.
And where was the other one?
Dallas.
And so only two in Texas.
I think so. I don't think we did one in Houston.
No, we did a show in Houston, but it wasn't
Right.
Eureka.
It was at an outdoor show at actually a pretty nice place.
Yeah, that
in
was
Houston.
fun. That was I remember that show, and it was cool. But yeah, this was at Eureka in Dallas, and yeah, it was kind of a funny surprise of who showed up.
So this is us posing with a few members of the band Working Class Hussies. They operate out of the, I think they're out of Philadelphia area or somewhere in Pennsylvania. And
They might have, didn't they have a couple Nashville members in it? Too,
well, yeah,
somehow?
that's the thing. Like they were the guy I'm standing next to, Ian. He's originally from that area, but he moved to Nashville, and that's how I met him. I met him just through a random acquaintance or random contact, and I played bass for him in a couple of different gigs that he had in Nashville before this current iteration of the band. And we we stayed friends. Like he eventually kind of just dialed it back on the music a bit and moved back to Pennsylvania, I believe. And that's his wife next to him, his drummer in the back, and I believe another guitarist in the front there. We were playing at this show, and I think we must have broadcast it somewhere. We must have announced it. And he mentioned, and he messaged me or posted or something that said, "Hey, we're in Dallas too." And lo and behold, I hadn't seen this guy in probably 2 or 3 years. And lo and behold, they all walk into this show.
Yeah.
We were in the middle of Dallas after having not seen him for, like I said, 2 years or something like that. And there they were, Working Class Hussies.
And there's another clue.
Interesting wrinkle.
Oh, are we thinking of the same wrinkle?
Maybe.
Well, notice what most of us in this photo are wearing.
Oh. That's right.
Green.
Yeah, this must have been St. Patty's Day.
It was St. Patty's Day. I was
17th. Yeah, I guess so.
yeah, I was looking at because I remember that dress, and I was like, I didn't wear that. I used to only wear that dress on St. Patrick's Day because I didn't like it that much. And then I was like, wait, everyone else is in green. That's St. Patrick's Day. It's a lot of fun little clues for me in this photo, Ed. What's the other wrinkle?
Well, that later on when we reconnected, or we went to Nashville one time and reconnected with our friend Meredith Bliss.
Oh, right.
We noticed
Oh, right.
that her new boyfriend at the time is the drummer standing in the back of this photo.
Right. That is the other wrinkle. He looks so different there too.
Oh yeah, he looks way different now. But he had moved to Nashville. He moved. He had moved, I guess, to Nashville to try and make a go of it as a drummer there. He's a very good drummer, and but they hadn't met, as far as I know, they hadn't met at this point. So it was crazy when she told us who her new guy was and what band he was. I'm like, I know that band. How did that happen? Of
so
all
random.
the people in Nashville.
Yeah, there he is.
So that was a really nice surprise. And I believe this was the show that your cousin Art Gould also came to us.
Yeah, that's right.
Came with us too. He drove us there and drove us back or something.
Yeah, he has a property in Austin. So he was like, I have to go check on the property. Why don't I just come when you guys are there? So he showed up and he went to, I think, all of our shows with us.
I think so.
Yeah, he was like our acting manager even. He was like passing out cards and he was so tickled because he's like, yeah, because we had to figure out something there was something weird with our Red Gorilla showcase at South by Southwest where we couldn't quite figure out the timing or something. So he showed up and was like, I'm with Witherward and I need to know this and that. And he found out the information for us and he was like, guess what? And he was all excited. We were like, thank you. That's awesome.
Right. He helped out big time on that trip.
Yeah. Because then we ended up staying at the house that he. I think there was somebody renting it, but we stayed. They let us stay in the guest room or something.
Yeah, for just a night or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of neat. That trip I think went a little better than the previous year, just because we had those shows, I think that made a big difference.
Yeah, not like going underwater just to appear at South by Southwest, and but did make a big difference. But that was also the last time we went to Texas on tour, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure that was the last time we went, because it just it wasn't it wasn't worth it.
Did we go back to stay with Michael? And was that a separate time?
That might have been. We did go back one time. We went to Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, right? What was there?
I don't remember at all.
I don't remember either. Wow, we're gonna have to look in the calendar. But that was because I was trying to think. One of those shows on the way from Texas to New Mexico, I wrote Wasteland in the car.
Yeah, we were coming back from something.
Yeah, and it was like just hours and hours and hours of nothingness. And we were just so done with this drive, and we were like, we are never touring Texas again, just because that drive it's a rough drive. If you guys have ever driven to, Texas is a huge state, and if you've ever driven through it, it just takes forever, and there's not a whole lot to see in between cities. So, and then at one point we're like in New Mexico, and it looked exactly the same, and I was like, I thought it was gonna change, and it didn't change, and that's kind of why I wrote Wasteland, because I just thought that was interesting. Like, well, I guess every state's got its barren areas.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was an interesting coincidence that we happened across on our second South by Southwest trip in 2016. That was a pretty fun night.
Yeah, that was fun.
So I think that'll do it. For our show today. Again, many thanks to David Fernandez.
What an awesome guest.
Absolutely. And you should absolutely go to highplateauproductions.com and check out the shows there, because his production setup is fantastic. Like you're going to get a really nice quality show when you're watching one of the streaming shows there. You really just, and also too, just to support artists that are still struggling to make things work and play their music during the pandemic. Things like what Dave's doing at High Plateau Productions are really, really important right now. So definitely take a look.
Check it out. Anyone who's going to be on his show, he handpicks just the best artists. So definitely check that out. And what do we got up for next week?
Rain Stern.
Yay.
Yeah. Who's
cool.
Looks like she's seeing some pretty good traction from her appearance on The Voice. So.
Did she already appear on it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, dang, I missed it.
So, looks like she's kind of getting some traction, which is exciting. I'm excited to kind of catch up with her. We haven't had a chance to catch up with her in a while, so
she is an amazing performer. Her voice and her guitar playing skills are exceptional.
Yeah.
She's like seriously one of the best guitar players I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. So
ditto.
It was awesome. She's awesome. So
yeah.
Did she make it to the next level on The Voice?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I haven't looked into that yet.
I don't know if she's going to want to talk about it or not. So we'll have to
just congratulate her in any case.
We'll message her ahead of time and know that if we don't talk about it, it's because she doesn't want to or can't. But regardless, I think we can make next week all about her music, because it really just is absolutely incredible. So she's awesome.
Thanks again to Electro Voice for sponsoring the podcast. If you want to know more, go to electrovoice.com. And again, thanks to our lovely patrons and our producer patron, Alice Williams. We really appreciate all the support. If you want to know more, go to patreon.com/crimesagainstfolk.
Yeah. Thank you guys. We love you.
We didn't decide what song we're ending on, did we?
No, we never do. I usually put something in there, but I forgot. I forgot the last couple times.
Oh, I wasn't
so
even
no.
looking at the notes either. So
Yeah, I stopped looking at our show notes because I've got it all in here now. So
yeah, yeah, same.
I know, yeah.
Same.
I had a feeling that was going to happen. You guys were at that point with this show. We don't even have to look at the notes. I've got a sleeping Garfunkel on my lap, so it can be a song where I don't play guitar, or I can put him in his little playpen and he'll be fine.
Let's do let's see. Yeah, let's do one where I play guitar so you don't have to. I don't want to disturb him.
Disturb the G-Funk. I'll wake him up at the end though, so he can say goodbye because he's so cute.
Do you want to do America?
Yeah. Another Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
You know, we're showing Garfunkel his namesake, so. He's been to all 5 shows with me this week.
That's awesome.
He's amazing. He just sleeps the whole time.
That's surprising to me, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm surprised about that, but
I don't know. Well, I mean, he likes music, and he clearly is like really soothed by it, and he you know, we wrap him in a blanket, and then he just gets passed around the gigs because everybody wants to hold him. So even when it's cold, I mean, he's great. He's just like the perfect little. He's the vagabond dog. Brad thinks we should call him the vagabond mutt, and I don't think that sounds as good as vagabond dog.
Yeah, vagabond dog.
Yeah,
A little classier.
yeah.
Yeah, so we'll leave you with this song. This is America by Simon and Garfunkel. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let us be lovers, we'll marry our fortunes together. I've got some real estate here in my bag. Ooh. So we bought a pack of cigarettes and Mrs. Wagner pies and walked off to look for America. Kathy, I said as we boarded a Greyhound in Pittsburgh, Michigan seems like a dream to me now. It took me 4 days to hitchhike from Saginaw. I've come to look for America. Laughing on the bus, playing games with the faces. She said the man in the gabardine suit was a spy. I said, be careful, his bow tie is really a camera. Toss me a cigarette, I think there's one in my raincoat. We smoked the last one an hour ago. Ooh, so I looked at the scenery. She read a magazine, and the moon rose over an open field. Kathy, I'm lost, I said, though I knew she was sleeping. I'm empty and aching, and I don't know why. Counting the cars on the New Jersey Turnpike, they've all come to look for America. All come to look for America. All come
Michael says thank you. He says, I'm so sleepy.
Oh, he's so sleepy. Look at him. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Join us next week when we talk to artist Rain Stern. And we will see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.